Today's video is sponsored by the developers of Hearts of Iron 4. Try Hearts of Iron 4 this week for free with the Steam link in the description that started on February 25th. Recreate the events of the Second World War by taking command of any nation, from the greatest powers to the smallest of nations trying to weather the storm, in authentic, real-time war simulation, or in both online multiplayer or co-op competitive gameplay in total strategic war. Give your nation a unique edge. Negotiate or force your will and turn the world into your battlefield with highly detailed models for ships, infantry, tanks, and aircraft, and also special weapons at your disposal. And get ready for the Law Resistance DLC, adding more exciting possibilities for victory. Now, into today's video. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to our first look at the Law Resistance DLC for Hearts of Iron 4. Noob alert! Noob alert! Listen, I've only got like maybe 20 hours in this game at the most, and I don't really know everything about Hearts of Iron, and I probably never will, especially if I play about 1 billion times. But what I do know is I've been having a lot of fun with my friends playing, where I've basically been learning how to research things and kind of how the game works and watch them go into the intricate battles. The things that interest me the most is the tech trees and how things are unlocked, and the Law Resistance DLC adds a lot more to that. Today's video, by the way, is sponsored by Hearts of Iron 4, and so thanks to them for sending over an early access key to the game, and of course allowing me to, well, take a look at it early so we can see it hopefully on the day of a launch or just a few days after. So the Law Resistance DLC adds a lot of new stuff for nations that will get into some heated battles right at the start of the game, including, well, Portugal and Spain, which is pretty cool. We're going to start a new game here today, starting in 1936. We're just going to take a look around a little bit of the map and see exactly what it'll have to offer. So here we are, Spain, of course, at the beginning of Hearts of Iron 4, when it starts in the vanilla mode in 1936. Begins where Spain is basically about to go into a civil war, and then eventually does, where Germany and the Soviet Union and other nations can eventually send help, and now Portugal, with the added addition to the Law Resistance DLC, can also get involved if they would like to. But there's a new focus tree for France, which allows them to either restore the old French monarchy or manage Vichy France, which is really cool that you can get conquered by Germany and then do some other things with Vichy France, which is pretty cool. As I mentioned, there's also a Portuguese national focus tree, so you can strengthen your naval power and do a little bit more than before. And then there's more in-depth Spanish campaign. We're going to take a look at that and see exactly what it has to offer. So let's just, let's take a look at a few things here. I've never played Spain before, so I don't know what is new and what is not new in comparison to the Law Resistance DLC. So Spain, to me, is an all-new, interesting country. So if you've never played Spain before, the DLC might be interesting to get, as well as France and Portugal. So this region really starts to get boosted up a little bit. There's also the ability to do more in-depth espionage and also code cracking, and then collaborate between governments. You can also support resistance forces inside countries. So, for example, if you're playing as France, capitulate and then your government flees to the United Kingdom, you can send support to resistance forces, and there's a lot more in depth in terms of unrest and sabotage and that type of thing, which is very important, especially if you're Germany. When you invade everyone else, they obviously are going to resist. So let's take a look here at Spain and see. I'm going to actually put on civilian just so we can toy around with it. I'm not looking to do, you know, an Iron Man Last Stand, most epic gameplay ever. I'm just looking at what's new, including recon units that are new as well in the game. So for those of you wanting to go into battle with spearheads, then you can send recon forces forward. Definitely great for the Germans, British, Americans. So if it's any of the big major powers, especially if they're pushing deep. So here we are. We have ourselves Spain, where they're about to get into the Civil War. So let's take a look at what's new for their decisions and tech trees and whatnot. And actually, let's go into the national focuses first. We have two choices at the very beginning, a Great Spain or the Popular Front. And so from there, we can go down, hand over the agreement, campaign chest. Wow, I've never even taken a... Wow, that is... Whoa, that is way, way bigger than I'd... Wow, that's really actually very impressive. I've never even seen this tech tree before. That's kind of cool. Again, I don't know what's different between the previous one, but to see a tech tree like that is pretty cool, especially when a nation is supposed to basically be out of the war by like basically by the start of war, by 1939. You know, it always varies when you play, but I mean, by 1939, you're basically out of the game, and there's not much more to do with Spain unless you happen to join the Axis or the Allies, and then, you know, you probably get whooped because they could retaliate quite easily, being kind of close to both. Well, we see a lot of different options here. We're not going to go through them all, of course, today, but I also wanted to see what was new in the tech trees, if anything. Just kind of take a quick glance at a lot of stuff that's here. Now, this is available on Steam, too, so if you're looking to pick it up, I believe the game is having a week-long free-to-play event. It is also having a discount for that week that it's free to play, and then of course you can also get the DLC in addition to that. So you can get all the DLCs on a discount plus this DLC in addition to that and get everything that there is. Wow, that is really cool that we can actually build submarines and stuff. So Spain can actually have a civil war, come back and start kicking some butt. There's obviously some pretty capable tanks here, the CDC, the TP2, and other tanks that might actually be quite capable in the warfare that could take place in France. You could probably invade them or something along those lines. That's kind of cool, too. Now, for Portugal, as we mentioned before, they also get to strengthen things abroad. So Portugal does have influence at other territories around the world, and then, of course, can also launch their navy so they can go to other different types of islands that's under their control as well and fortify them or build up naval bases and things like that. So it's pretty cool as well. But Spain in a pretty good position for most of the war, actually. It's kind of in the same position of France, where it's basically between the United Kingdom and Italy and North Africa, and it might get involved in some of the wars. So that's pretty cool to see. Now, as for code cracking, I've seen a little bit of the developers' videos on that, and I'm kind of curious to see how everything will play out when it comes time for that. Let's see here, decisions for Spain as well. Let's go ahead and let's select Spain and kind of begin the game here a little bit. So 25% stability and war support. Some of that might be different from before, especially if you choose 1939. Be interesting to see what they will see for like a civil war in 1939 after the Civil War. If anything will be different, I'm kind of curious to know. But we have our three sections here: the northwest, northeast, and then the southern areas of Iberia. Kind of neat. And then, of course, we could probably choose to invade Portugal as well. I'm sure our war support will plummet after the initial battles begin because we won't have anything. No war support, and a lot of our troops will be exhausted from the Civil War, and that will be that. Looks like there's also troops traveling out to other sections. Kind of interesting to see here. And it looks like Portugal is just spreading out troops on the border. So that's neat. So, as usual, we don't have any field marshals or anything assigned. We'll have to do all that ourselves. And now let's take a look here. Recruit and deploy. I wonder if there's any sort of garrisons upgrades. Yes, of course. Now, I wanted to take a look then at more of the tech here and see what they have for early stuff. 1918 is where most of their stuff begins. Mauser M39s and destroyer carbines. So most things start either in 1918. That's pretty much it. The best thing you can have is an interwar armored car, and looks to be some Opel Blitz trucks that we might be able to research. Some very basic weapons. That's not going to be too impactful. But let's get some research started, and let's play just a little bit of what's new in the DLC here. Gives me interested in playing Spain and such. Other countries were somewhat uninteresting to me because they didn't really have much to do either after or before the war began. So let's see, a Great Spain or the Popular Front. Let's see, no national focus prerequisites. Let's see, the focus will cancel, whatnot. All right, well, let's see what is next for them then. We have another decision after that. We have to secure the Guardia Civil, or what's on the other side, hand over the CETA campaign chest, negotiate support Army of North Africa. Looks like this is kind of building up the military a little bit, especially we can go down things like what looks to be like emergency munitions and bolstering offensive. Okay, so this is for war a little bit more on this side. So a Great Spain, or I guess all working together to be what looks to be going down, the left. Stalinist or NKVD interference, etc., etc. Okay, so wow, a lot of communism here for the Republicans for when it becomes a republic, and they get support from that. Otherwise, the Nationalist Spain, I believe, is the fascist version of that. Either way, it looks like we're going to war, so let's go ahead and start a Great Spain focus and just see how that goes. Our leader here, Manuel Azna. Very cool. Never seen that before. Figurehead president. Okay, so the Civil War is about to pop off. We're facing national strikes, political violence, military disloyalty. Wow, minus 100%. And Carlism? Never even heard of that before. 1830, King Ferdinand the 7th, etc., etc. Carlist movement is still very much alive. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that going on in Spain in this version here. So a lot of distrust, a lot of warfare, a lot of anger, a lot of tensions, I suppose, in the new DLC, as there was before. Of course, the Civil War pretty much always happens. It's kind of a moment for Germany to send in its troops to prepare, and marks a time between the beginning of the game and right before. Typically, players start beginning these purges in the Soviet Union. Otherwise, they break out into Civil War as well. All right, let's take a look here. Other territories that we control. Let's see if there's foreign claims to anything that we might have. I'm sure there's other islands around. I don't know all of Spain's claims at the time. Anything over here? Looks like Japan is taking control of those areas, or already has them. Oh, looks like we have a small part of Africa, too. So we've got, other than North Africa here, Spanish Africa, we also have, let's see, Rio de Oro, and another set of islands off the coast of West Africa like that. Very neat. And it looks like some more chunks here and there. So Spain's definitely got some territories around Africa. Nothing too substantial, or that we could really launch any sort of attacks at, but at least it'll bring in some supply for us. Unfortunately, like, for example, France having Madagascar, they get a little bit of a bonus from, things such as rubber and whatnot. Yeah, this is a beefy game, by the way. If you've ever been intimidated by the game, apparently it's easier than ever before. You don't have to worry about things like food or, supply trains as much as you do just basic supplies, which is pretty important. And, of course, you can import things. Luckily, we're not really preparing for a war economy, but what we are preparing is just small numbers of tanks and things. So let's see what happens when the Civil War bops off. It will be interesting to play as the United Kingdom in this DLC as well, because you can do code cracking. There was a very famous... I'm not going to say what it is, but there is a very famous location in the United Kingdom that some of you might know. If you do know, I will heart your comment, so check down below in the comment section to see if everyone got it right. There's a, I'm not going to give any more details other than it was like an, not quite an organization, but a word that worked on cracking German and other coded messages, including the Enigma machine. So it'll be interesting to see if you can code crack there, as well as the Americans, too, making code cracking for espionage and such, and for the Navajo wind talkers, as they were called. The Japanese were breaking through American transmissions and such, and America called on the Navajo Indians to use their language to basically transmit things via radio. So, for example, certain words like tank would be turtle in Navajo, and then they would use some words to communicate back and forth. Very, very interesting. Okay, so, well, anyway, we're well underway to our Civil War. I just kind of want to leave it in idle and see exactly what happens. This is, again, my first time, and we already did sound the noob alert, so... And if any of you want to give me tips on what to do first as Spain, or what makes it more interesting, please do let me know. Great Spain has been completed. We are now focusing on rebuilding a Great Spain, or building one for the first time. So let's continue to hand over the CEDA campaign chest. Let's see, ample funds... electoral campaign, etc., etc. Spanish Civil War has begun, so it looks like we're doing that beforehand. I guess you could sit idle, too, and not go down that line, but if you take long enough, you'll have to go down the other line then when the country's kind of already split. So, yeah. So I'm really curious to see how recon units are going to play in battle. It says that scout planes can provide useful information on nearby areas, while armored cars can help in detecting and suppressing resistance activities. So, in addition to the military police that you can research for, especially areas in like Poland and France where factories will constantly be sabotaged, you might be able to suppress some of the resistance forces that come with the DLC as well. Create resistance, support this. It's kind of a rock, paper, scissors, if you will. So there's abilities to do new stuff, but also abilities to suppress it, so that way it's not a complete surprise. Let's take a look here for Spain. What do we have for... ports and whatnot. Now, when Spain, when they split, it will go pretty much down the coast here from Barcelona all the way down to what do we have here? Spanish election of 1936. Only the ashes of the Second Republic, Spain, can be reforged. All right, cool. So Almeria and Grandia are areas here that will eventually kind of try to split. It'll kind of look like an upside-down L when they split off. And most of the time. Sometimes it changes a little bit. It kind of depends on what they take early, but we'll see exactly. There's some very large cities here in Spain, too, so it's not just kind of a... I always thought of it as kind of a quiet area, but no, there's quite some large cities here, especially Madrid. That'll be a big fighting point, and trying to push towards Valencia to cut the Republican forces in half. So we'll try to keep Spain under nationalist Spain rather than the Republic of Spain, so we'll see how we can do there. So let's speed up time a little bit more. And again, I'm just taking shots in the dark until I have a chance to really play with my friends. As I mentioned, like, I really just enjoy being able to research stuff and assign research and production and worrying about laws and government. That's the stuff that interests me, though it takes a very long time to do that. So again, all the things that you're reading about that I'm not doing, of course, is either on purpose or because I'm not aware of it. So give me some tactics and tips down below for that, and let me know what you think about all the new DLCs, especially the features in this new DLC. It looks like we have ourselves Portuguese forces moving. No, I thought they were actually adding some more troops to the border. Wonder if we could go to war with them and actually reclaim Portugal. Very interesting story, too, by the way, about how Portugal came to be and about how essentially it was just a city-state near Porto, and then would go all the way south. Portugal, that's kind of where they get their name. Remilitarization of the Rhineland in 1936. Worrying. Wow, that is very early, by the way. I don't remember. No, that takes place about that time. So that's pretty good. But it seems like early 1936. Pretty quick. But I guess everything's good. So, all right. Well, no world war just yet. World tensions are only at 5%. World not very happy with what Adolf is doing over there, but we'll see eventually. We do have 352 points. Let's see if there's anything new here that we can do. Press censorship. There's a political... Wow, political assassins. Interesting. Primo de Rivera's speech. Let's see. One of the founders of change in popularity of fascism. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and, I don't know, launch some of these, I guess. Interesting options here that we can choose from and people that we can assign, though I've never taken a first look at any of those. So Spain is going to be very interesting to play now. I do want to come back after this first look and do a full playthrough of it. So if you haven't already, make sure you click, tap, blow up, and destroy that like button to let me know you want to see a full playthrough of Spain with me and my friends who are much more adept to the military system in the game of assigning leaders and then, of course, manufacturing all the troops and training all the troops and building the equipment needed to go to war. And so it'll be interesting to see the options for Spain eventually. Treaty of Addis Ababa, which is the annexation of Ethiopia. Yep, that's it right there. Ethiopia was capitulated. Italy doing their actions down here. Eventually we'll make claims on Yugoslavia here, which is Albania right now, but Yugoslavia will kind of have to get involved in that in time. It's right on their border and create some tension there. Interesting nation to play as well, Italy, although I haven't done it yet. Mostly Germany and France so far, but Spain, again, this really makes me interested in knowing a lot more about how things will go down in Spain for the Spanish Civil War. Okay, well, we are done with our first national focus there. So did we pick another one? I suppose we want to go for the Carlist support. Oh, we finished the chess. So let's go with the Carlist support now. That has finished as well. A lot of stuff getting done quickly. We're researching support weapons is complete. The Trubia A4, small light tanks, really not much that we're going to see, too much happen now. But we'll go with small support and light weapons to see how things play out. It'll be quite interesting, I think. Okay, so now we've got all these units being produced, or researched, rather. We have good manpower, 1,000, or almost 200,000, enough to make a few units. So let's go ahead and get that started. Actually, let's see if we've got what we got for diplomacy with everyone. Relationships are pretty much just kind of all over the place, but nothing too hard one way or the other. International interests are pretty solid. Let's take a look. Actually, I'm curious to know about research slots, because if Spain is going to be offensive in North Africa, for example, there's the Second London Naval Treaty. More money for the army then. So if we take a look here, I want to see if there's more research slots. And wow, we're knocking out some of that research quite quickly. Here we are. Let's see. Time of warfare. Science and warfare. Filters research. Yes, we gain a research slot. So there is opportunities later to start speeding up things. Okay, let's continue to go down the line. We still have a few things to go. The Army State of Africa or Supremacy of the Communion. Let's see. Oh boy. Well, there's quite a few options here. A lot to learn about, and a lot more in-depth. Of course, the developers do a great job of showcasing that during some of their streams as well. So, really, this is a game that all of the community of Hearts of Iron should be welcoming to all of the new players, as well as, there's always going to be new people coming in with all these DLCs and free weekends, and so it's kind of up to everyone to, be helpful and give people information with open arms, so that way everyone can become a good player. As soon as they know what they're doing, give them a fighting chance, and some people will impress you with their capabilities and such. Got some naval ships here, docked. Just a few. Oh, wow, we actually have access to submarines and destroyers, so if we want to, we could go mess with Italy at some time if we join the Allies. Or, again, we could mess with the French if we happen to join the Axis. Pretty impossible at this point, but all good. Okay, let's take a look now at what other research we have. I don't know if there's new tanks or not, but some things have been reworked. So I'm going to have to look into more of those notes to really know what is fresh and new. But, man, that guy, you know what that guy looks like? He looks like Dave Thomas from Wendy's. Does anyone want a burger all of a sudden? I certainly do. That's for sure. Okay. Well, the border, by the way, is not even defended by the French. And I think only after, like, 1937 did the French even, like, start kind of putting troops anywhere else. So, like, for example, they'll secure their border with Italy. They'll reinforce the Maginot Line, maybe a few troops near Paris. And then, of course, southern France near Spain. And then a few troops in the west. It's pretty much all I've ever seen, especially with France's AI. Secure the northern garrisons. Interesting. So this will allow us to garrison control Galcia, Lyon, Salamanca. Okay, so basically we're going to be garrisoning these areas up here, I believe. Navarra, Eastern. I'm not exactly sure where that is. Let's see. Are these small isles? No? All right, we'll have to see. Oh, there we are. Galicia, Lyon, Salamanca. There we go. Okay. So we'll be, I guess, fortifying this region here of northwestern Spain. España. Cool. All right, let's see. So it is going to be nice. I'm really using my time now just to kind of announce the DLC and to really get into it more with other people. Now, as I've been given early access, there's nobody else I can really team up with or against at the moment. So it's kind of a solo one-man campaign until I can actually play along with people. And one of the great things, if you don't know about Hearts of Iron's DLCs that I didn't know until I literally just started playing, is if you have just the vanilla game and you have a friend who has all the DLCs and they host, then you get all the access to all the DLCs, which makes it nice, fair, and balanced. Because if, for example, somebody had access to a tech tree that made them incredibly powerful, and you didn't get access to some of the same bonuses stuff to balance that out, it would be almost a near impossible game to balance. It almost would be like a free-to-play game where Spain could produce mega tanks, and then the UK is just only forced to use ships and regular aircraft or something like that to try to remain powerful, and that type of thing. So it's all for balancing. It kind of makes it more fun. Let's take a look here at what goes on with the, let's see, the tech tree. There we go. The garrisons are almost done. Excellent. Support them. Yes. Good. Glory to Raptoria, then. Excellent. Let's see. Secures the northern garrisons are required for these two, which is to unify the Nationalist Front or the Phalanx Incident. Oh, what is that? Popularity of fascism plus 10. Unify the front would be the other one. I kind of want to do that one. Let's go for Con Poquito. Now, this means I believe we can choose only and or. Branches are mutually exclusive. So if we go down this way, we can't do the Phalanx. Oh, I call it the Incident, but it's the Ascendant. I'm not exactly sure what that means. But, okay, well, let's go down that way. We'll go down Con Poquito. I have no idea what that is. But we'll see. Okay. I don't know if it has anything to do with Don Quixote. Maybe, perhaps. That's a very popular Japanese convenience store chain. For whatever reason, they chose a Spanish story. I think that takes place in Spain, doesn't it? Or it has something to do with Spain, I believe. And Japanese just like it for whatever reason. Events or decisions timed out. Yeah, okay, we're losing opportunities to do certain things. Military plot, for example. Looks like these are ways for us to kind of boost support for certain things in Spain. You can see where political power is being generated. Pretty good, too bad that we can't do much at the moment in the short time. Let's keep giving some speeches. I don't know. Talk about how amazing, amazing that we are. That's right. Okay, let's keep going down. So let's see what the end of the line is for Spain. There's so much here. The Spanish miracle. What is all this about? Let's see. Improves living standards. Awesome. Plan Imperial, so we have the ability to make giant ships and things and to secure the ways to that, the duty to work. So we have support for the industry, and of course your continuous focuses, which once you're done with most of this stuff, you can start focusing on things like continuous repair and naval production to boost your forces after you've kind of finished some regular research or whatnot. All right, let's speed up time. I want to see what happens. It's 1936 and the Olympic Games are over. And I want to see if anything happens in Spain at the moment. Rebellion bides its time. We best not dally too much longer. Awaiting the rebellion. Okay, let's see exactly what happens if we split in half here. Just curious to know how things all play out. So we will see shortly. And she sells seashells down by the seashore. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, let's see exactly what we got here. Time is passing by quickly. Of course, on our highest speed setting. Very nice. So when I played this previously, if you saw those previous 3 episodes leading up to today, we had a full war in France just before the DLC came out, where we are fighting as France, and of course we kind of purposely dallied around and were incompetent as usual, but just to try to simulate the fact that we were trying to basically get invaded and see if we could enter any sort of resistance force, which will be interesting for later. So a great opportunity to play as French resistance forces and other things as well, like I mentioned with Spain and Portugal. Oh, some sort of an event happened here. Let's see, the Spanish Civil War. There we go. United Front, the Nationalists will win. Let's see, there's 2 different Oh, lots of stuff coming up here. Sanduero dies. He dared too much. I have no idea who that is. I'm not sure exactly yet, but I'll have a lot to learn through these games. By the way, that is the greatest thing about video games that YouTube needs to chill on, is that, oh, it looks like it was all decided because time just kept kind of bulldozing forward. I was going to choose something, and then pop-up after pop-up came up. Spain, why did they go to Civil War? Too many pop-ups. They just, you know, they were going to make it. They were going to say peace, but the time expired, and so it all just kind of went into it then. Spanish War has ended. So now we're at war. So Spain has split in a very different way now. Oh, that's interesting. So nationalist Spain is split from pretty much just north of Madrid all the way across the northern borders. I wonder if that happens each time. But now we see our forces kind of fighting militias and whatnot. So we need to, essentially, if we're playing military-wise, now it becomes a military campaign. The goal is to, A, cut these areas into small pockets of resistance. B, cut them off from the shores so they can't get supply to each other. And then see if we can even continue more and more to dissect these small areas. And are the Germans here? Is that the Germans? Oh, yeah, the Germans may be sending over help. I don't know if... Nope, doesn't look like it. The Germans may send support and whatnot. I'm not entirely certain where to look for it, but looks like nationalist Spain is claiming on us. The nationalists, that's who we're trying to be now. That's our forces here. So we can actually launch attacks as nationalist Spain. So that's what we chose. I think it was auto-chosen. I have no idea. But this makes me really excited to know exactly what's happening by, you know, trying it out some more. And playing with some friends and going down and checking out all the different methods to go down. So it means that you can basically get into the action like right away in this game. The whole other tech tree disappeared because we chose. It'd be kind of nice if it showed it there. But so it's kind of cool. So you can play basically right at the beginning of the game. Prepare for Civil War. You can prepare for what seems to be like 4 different ways, either tech tree at the top and then either left or right kind of down this tree, but you can still go inter between the 2 as well. And I'm not looking here to win the entire war, but you know, it'll take a little bit. But let's just kind of see what plays out if we just kind of like leave our troops to, let's just see if we can give commands. We have no field marshals or anything. Everything is basically just resistance forces and militias at the moment, so that's kind of interesting. Can we see who the leader of the resistance forces are? No? Oh, here we are. Oh, wait. There we are. So, military junta. Okay. And that's on both sides? I guess so. So, we are still able to do research and such. That's kind of cool. Okay, let's just take all of our troops and see if we can punch out. And we'll try to take Madrid. Let's see if we can push our forces all the way to the ports, too. Capture some of those. Oh, there we go. Yep, we're already trying to take ports and whatnot. And we should also probably attack Portugal because they deserve it. Just kidding. Cool. All right. Well, I am absolutely thrilled with the release of the DLC and want to learn so much more. And I'll be sleeping outside tonight for my own incompetence. That'll be what I'm in. But I'm not here to be the best player in the world, and I don't think any way you could be, especially if you're playing as the underdog. It's going to be a lot more interesting to be playing as a force that's kind of disorganized and win then a force that's to be reckoned with, I suppose. Let's go down, take the vulnerable fronts. There we go. We'll do that. All right, everyone. Well, that is it for our time here today. Just a very itty-bitty small scrape of the surface of what the DLC has to offer, but it is here. And it is clear that I'll be live streaming this as well to show a lot more of it. So now that I've kind of got a little bit of the features in my mind, we'll start taking... oh, look at that. We're starting to take ports left and right. How lovely. Beautiful. We'll keep on pushing that direction as well. I know I'm supposed to make fronts and whatnot, but go ahead and give those tips down below. For our next battle, then, we'll be live streaming this DLC when it comes out fully. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. Thank you for being here, everybody. You have yourself a fantastic afternoon, good evening, and good night. And I hope to see you all in the fields of battle in Hearts of Iron. Who will win? Will Spain still be Spanish, or will it start speaking French? Who knows? Find out next time on World War II. Goodbye, everyone.